On this day in history, April 2nd, 1513, having spotted land on March 27th, Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de León comes ashore on what is now the state of Florida. Landing somewhere between the modern city of St. Augustine and the mouth of the St. Johns River. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica going over the history of discovery and settlement of Florida. The romance and the tragedies of the early history of Florida give it a unique place in the annals of the American states. Within 20 years after the first voyage of Columbus to the New World in 1492, an expedition was being organized to seek for a fabulous fountain of youth and for riches in the new and inviting land. This expedition was followed by others seeking wealth or to establish the Christian faith among the savages. In turn, these were followed by French Huguenots, who were seeking a place of religious freedom. But the zeal of the Spaniards soon brought an unhappy end to their search. Florida also has the honor of containing the oldest European settlement within the bounds of the original United States, as St. Augustine was founded in 1565. 42 years before the English were successful at Jamestown. The Spanish Council of the Indies claimed that since 1510, fleets and ships had gone to Florida, and Florida is shown on the earliest known map of the New World, the Cantino map of 1502. In 1513, Juan Ponce de León, circa 1460, died 1521, who had been with Christopher Columbus on his second voyage and later been governor of Puerto Rico, obtained a royal grant authorizing him to discover and settle Bimini, a fabulous island believed to contain a marvelous fountain or spring whose waters would restore to old men their youth or, at least, had wonderful curative powers. Soon after Easter Day, he came in sight of the coast of Florida, probably near the mouth of the St. Johns River. From the name of the day in the calendar, Pascua Florida, or from the fact that many flowers were found on the coast, the country was named Florida. De Leon seems to have explored the coast, to some degree, on both sides of the peninsula, and to have turned homeward fully convinced that he had discovered an immense island. He returned to Spain in 1514 and obtained from the king a grant to colonize the island of Bimini and the island of Florida, of which he was appointed adelantado, civil and military governor. And in 1521 he made another expedition, this one for colonization as well as for discovery. He seems to have touched at the island of Tortugas, so named on account of the large number of turtles found there, and to have landed at several other places, but many of his men succumbed to disease and himself was wounded in an Indian attack, dying soon afterwards in Cuba. Meanwhile, in 1516, another Spaniard, Diego Morello, seems to have sailed for some distance along the west coast of the peninsula. The next important expedition was that of Panfilo de Narvaez. In 1527 he sailed from Cuba with about 600 men, soon reduced to less than 400. He landed early in 1528, probably at the present site of Pensacola, and for 6 months remained in the country, he and his men suffering terribly from exposure, hunger, and fierce Indian attacks. In September, his ships being lost and his force greatly reduced in number, he hastily constructed a fleet of 5 boats, re-embarked, probably to sea while off the coast of Texas. Only 4 of his men, including Nunez Cabeza de Vaca, succeeded, after 8 years of Indian captivity and of long and weary wanderings, in finding their way to the Spanish settlements in Mexico. Florida was also partially explored by Fernando de Soto in 1539-40. In the summer of 1559, another attempt at colonization was made by Tristan de Luna, who sailed from Veracruz, landed at Pensacola Bay, and explored a part of Florida and, possibly, southern Alabama. Somewhere in the region he desired to make a permanent settlement, but he was abandoned by most of his followers and gave up his attempt in 1561.